WYFF News 4 starts right now.
Breaking news tonight, a winter storm dumped snow and ice across the Carolinas and Georgia.
States of emergency have been declared as the freezing temperatures overnight will make conditions even more challenging.
We've been tracking snow and ice. Now we look toward temperatures and what the refreeze situation looks like. I'll let you know how long it'll be an issue.
At this time, our greatest concern is road safety.
We're asking people, if you don't need to get on the roads, don't get on them.
Tonight, crews are working to clear roads as snow and ice accumulate.
Thank you for joining us at 10 o'clock for our extended coverage as we track today's winter storm.
Both the Carolinas and Georgia still under a state of emergency tonight. The governors of North Carolina and Georgia speaking this morning on how their teams will respond to winter weather.
GMA has been tracking the weather system all week and preparing for the storm. We've had heavy coordination, obviously, with our state and local partners.
Precipitation and freezing temperatures tomorrow afternoon, tonight will make a mess of the roads on Saturday morning. The thawing and refreezing of precipitation leads to ice, so that everyone needs to be careful on our roads.
And we have live team coverage across the upstate and western North Carolina as we track the impacts of today's winter storm.
But first, we go to Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice with the latest timing. And Chris, we still have concerns about freezing temperatures overnight, right?
Yeah, Nigel, Sydney, we still got frozen precipitation happening right now. What's happening is we got freezing rain. This is the last batch of it coming into Oconee County. What's happening here is snow is actually trying to move in as well. Cold air is catching in. Our winds have now tried to shift around to the north. But what's happening now is anything that is falling is sticking, and right now we still have that freezing drizzle, freezing light rain, which means it looks like it's raining, but as soon as it touches anything, it freezes on contact. I think many of us are going to wake up tomorrow and look at those trees and go, whoa, they're going to be coated with ice, and then they're going to slowly thaw as the day goes on, and then that's going to create some runoff, and I think there could still be some slick spots early Sunday morning with a refreeze of any of that runoff that kind of finds its ways on the roads, especially those secondary or back roads. Here's the last little bit indicated by Live Super Doppler 4. A little last batch of some snow may pick up in some locations. It looks like it's raining. Please be careful of that. What looks like rain is not rain. It is actually rain that freezes upon contact. I'm zooming back out. The back edge of this storm is finally rolling through. Can't rule out some flurries or a brief bout of some snow showers in the morning. That would mainly be reserved for the mountains, but it wouldn't amount to very much. A winter storm warning goes until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Our Skycam network shows that freezing drizzle, that freezing light rain across the area with temperatures near freezing. Coming up, I'm going to map out where temperatures go beyond tomorrow to show you the thaw refreeze cycle we could be in for a little while.
Chris, thank you. And there are several closings and delays happening now through the weekend because of the winter weather. You can find the full list scrolling at the bottom of your screen and also on our website at WYFF4.com and the WYFF4 mobile app.
Well, as Chris was mentioning, some roads could be dangerous tonight after this winter storm, especially as things get icy and freeze overnight. Our Nate Stanley joins us live from Spartanburg now with a look at what conditions are like there. Nate.
Good evening, Nigel. It's funny you just mentioned the roads. I was just checking out some of the roads here in downtown Spartanburg. You can see that almost water, it looks like the roads are wet, but of course, as Chris was mentioning, that could be the potential for some black ice. We've seen, throughout the day, it went from snowing to freezing rain, and now there's not too much precipitation, just a little bit of light freezing rain, as I mentioned. And if we take a look up here, we can see I showed you these icicles hanging off the crosswalk sign here, and they have grown over the last few hours since the last time I showed you them, just showing you how much this freezing rain continues to accumulate here in downtown Spartanburg. People still out, enjoying their Friday night, walking around downtown Spartanburg here, driving to the different restaurants and whatnot. We explained all afternoon, all night. If you have to leave the house, please be careful, but if you do not need to leave tonight, please do not do so as the conditions continue to get colder. We can feel it getting colder in just a few hours that we have been out here, so don't put yourself at risk if you don't have to. Stay at home, enjoy watching it on the TV, but don't put yourself at risk by coming out here. Coming up later, we're going to have more from some of the people that were out today. A guy who saw his first ever snowflakes this afternoon. We got to meet him. We'll have more of his story coming up later tonight. Reporting in Spartanburg, Nate Stanley, WYFF News 4.
Nate, thank you. Someone seeing their first snow. I'm excited to see that. All right, speaking of snow, we've been watching it steadily in Travelers Rest all afternoon, and that's where we find our Rashad Williams. Rashad, how are things looking now?
Yeah, you said the key word steady. We have a steady flow of freezing rain and some baby flakes falling from the sky right now, but we are really keeping an eye on some of this ice. Just to give you a quick view here of the sidewalk, we have a lot of ice, and it may not appear to be ice. It looks like it could be rain, but as Chris mentioned, once the rain hits, it freezes on contact. We have an assortment of crushed ice here, just as good as anything that your fridge would dispense. But before we got to the ice that has accumulated, I want to give you a glimpse of what we were seeing earlier today. I would call this the fun part. We had snowball fights that we saw, parents out with their kids, and something for the entire family to enjoy. Today really was all about family. I was even able to referee a sled race this afternoon. That was the first time and a lot of fun. Throughout the day before it got dark, there was a lot of foot traffic on the Swamp Rabbit Trail coming through downtown Travelers Rest. We stopped a few people to get their thoughts on what some describe as a winter wonderland.
She's been looking forward to this for 3 years now.
It's really fun and nice, and I really like how you can build a snowman and all that. Fluffy and fun.
Come on, have some fun. You only live once.
I love the snow.
Just look around. It's spectacular. It's beautiful.
We also saw some pets getting in on the action, and all the kids that we met today, they all said they were really excited because today they did not have to go to school, and what better way to spend a day off from school than outside playing in the snow. I'll give you one more demonstration just to kind of highlight how the temperatures are dropping right now here in Travelers Rest and how that is impacting the blanket of snow that is already here. Again, this is hard. This is ice. Dustin, can you get a little closer here? All right, we're going to just step through it. Boom, I'm sure you hear that. There it is. It's again, crushed ice. It's hard, and as we go through the night, we know that the roadways, again, the sidewalks and everything else that's already out that fell earlier today will be hard and it will be slick, so watch your step, and if you have to drive, make sure you take some extra time out on the roadways to get to your destination. Live in Travelers Rest, Rashad Williams, WYFF News 4.
Rashad, thank you. I loved how you called earlier in the day the fun part, because now, of course, we're seeing the impacts of this ice. In fact, in Greenville County, fire crews have closed a section of State Park Road because the road conditions there are just too slick. Earlier today, officials said several vehicles slid off the road. At last check, thankfully, nobody was hurt. Authorities say they also closed Altamont Road because of the weather. First responders say they were having trouble getting to the area because of those icy conditions.
As we've been saying all day, the winter weather can and has already caused extremely dangerous road conditions, especially as ice freezes on the roads. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there have been 498 fatal crashes and more than 32,000 injuries in 2022 due to snow and sleet conditions. That is why troopers say if you need to be out on the roads, prepare yourself and your vehicle.
Check your tire tread. If your tire tread's not in good condition, you probably shouldn't drive in the ice or snow. Make sure your engine's prepared, right? Check your battery, check your fluids, check your wipers, check your brakes.
If you are stopped or stalled in wintry weather, experts say to stay focused on yourself, passengers, and your car and the surroundings.
Let's head to downtown Greenville now, where people got to head outside to Falls Park this afternoon and enjoy the snow. Look at that. People sledding down what honestly kind of looks like muddy ice, but I'm so glad people were out there having a good time. Look at that snowman. Here's what some folks had to say about spending their afternoon in the snow.
We're just playing in the snow, having fun. It's been a while since we had snow in Greenville, so it's nice to get out and have fun.
Build snowmen, make snow angels, all that stuff.
It really is sweet to see how much kids enjoy the snow. Our Mike Whiteman is in downtown Greenville, and he will bring us live conditions from there coming up in a little bit. As we bundle up and stay warm tonight, experts do want to remind you to do so safely and to look out for carbon monoxide poisoning.
And we got freezing rain still happening right now. Coming up, I'll show you how much longer that will last, and we'll check in with a view outside.
Snow started falling this morning. Some of the bigger totals will be in western North Carolina.
And that's where we find our Ray Arena with the latest. Ray, how's it going up there?
Nigel, Sydney, right before you just came to us, it just changed from some of the heaviest snow that we have seen back to about a wintry mix. But in between the time that we've had off, I've been able to make a snowball. Yes, a Miami boy has officially made a snowball. Oh my goodness, it is a miracle here. But in more serious news, the snow is causing the Asheville's Parks and Tourism community centers to close for the rest of the weekend, as well as their programs. They also say that the parks and greenways will remain open, but they're asking people to be careful because some of the pedestrian bridges may be slippery. The art bus will also start running again at noon tomorrow, and service will go until 6 p.m. But with all this snow and all the changing conditions that we have seen in Asheville, people that we spoke to earlier today were concerned about the impact of ice on the roads.
Snow doesn't scare me, ice does. Black ice, freezing rain, that's scary. Snow, we can get through snow, but I don't like ice.
I'm of two minds of the subject. Part of me is going to enjoy going sledding and playing with the kid, and the other part of me, of course, wants everybody to be safe.
And we did see a lot of people, just like as Rashad and others have said throughout the day, we have seen people just spending a lot of family time. We saw some people doing snow angels in the snow-covered roadway behind me. We also just had a mom walking with her daughter who just finished a gymnastics competition. They were taking pictures of the snow-covered roadway right behind me, calling it almost like a Hallmark movie sort of environment. So a lot of family time and enjoying what the snow has to offer here in Asheville, which is where we're reporting live. Ray Reyna, WYFF News 4.
Ray, like you said, ice is top of mind for a lot of people, and that's why in Anderson County, emergency officials started treating the roads there early.
Our Maya Payton joins us from Anderson now with a look at how they're handling the storm there. Maya.
Yeah, Nigel and Sydney, I mean, that freezing rain creating really slick conditions. Take a look at this brick here down in downtown Anderson. I mean, some areas it's wet and other areas very slippery and slick. And speaking of freezing, my man here, Mr. Whitner, he is feeling the impact. Take a look at this ice that's gathered in his hand there. And it looks like it might be just rain, but no, look at that. That's all ice. Frozen, frozen, frozen. And that's what you might see on many of your homes if you walk outside, and on your cars as well. That freezing ice creating contact and freezing whatever it lands on. In Anderson County, they're feeling it also when it comes to power outages. The emergency management director, he sent me a message just a few minutes ago saying that right now there are 4,000 people, nearly 4,000 people in Anderson County without power. Most of that is over in Belton, though. He said Duke Energy just sent him word saying that technicians are on the way. They are responding, hopefully to restore that power. We'll keep you updated here in Anderson as conditions change. In Anderson County, I'm Maya Payton, WYFF News 4.
Maya, thank you. Experts are reminding you to take extra steps to make sure you heat your home properly. Remember, it is not safe to turn your oven or your stove on for heat. You only need to use electric space heaters that have those automatic shut-off switches. But also remember, keep them away from any flammable materials like curtains or blankets. Avoid using extension cords to plug in your space heater. And make sure you have extra blankets, sleeping bags, and winter coats on hand in case you do lose power. If you start to feel symptoms like fatigue, dizziness, headache, and confusion, you may be experiencing carbon monoxide poisoning. It feels very close to flu-like symptoms.
So they're really common things, and a lot of times that's why it sneaks up on people, because they're very, non-specific symptoms that you may have on a regular basis.
And if you do think you have those symptoms, you need to seek fresh air or go outside immediately. Experts say you should never use fuel burning equipment in enclosed or poorly ventilated areas.
South Carolina emergency management officials are reminding people to stay safe this weekend. Make sure to check your emergency kit. Be careful walking and driving on ice. If possible, avoid travel, especially during freezing conditions or the overnight hours like right now. If you do need to travel, slow down, increase your following distance, and stay alert. Also, don't forget to check on your pets and shelter them indoors if possible.
Nigel, when it comes to winter weather, I feel like we've seen a little bit of everything today. Snow, sleet, freezing rain.
Yeah, now that freezing temperature outside settled in tonight. Let's get to meteorologist Griffin Hardy, who's outside. And Griffin, what can you tell us about what we're seeing right now?
Well, Nigel, the big thing for us here in Greenville for most of the night tonight has just been freezing rain, which is by far the biggest pain to deal with as far as what type of precipitation you get in the wintertime. We've seen kind of all three of the big ones today. We saw snow at the beginning of the day. That transitioned to sleet for a little while, and then from around 4 p.m. till now, it's mostly been freezing rain here in Greenville. And how each of those forms is a little bit different, and it's only a very tiny difference that makes all the difference as far as what precipitation you get. It can be a difference of about 1 or 2 degrees Fahrenheit normally. So here's how it works. Snow is pretty simple to understand. If it's forming up at 15,000 feet like it normally does, roughly speaking, and it's below freezing all the way down to the ground when it falls, it's going to stay as snow and fall as snow. And that's, again, what it was like early today at the beginning of the day. But then you've got sleet, and sleet's a little bit different. So oftentimes with sleet, what happens is you have a layer of warm air just above the surface. It's actually above freezing and below freezing air right at the surface. If it's thin enough, that snow will melt a little bit, but not all the way, and then refreeze before it hits the ground. That's what sleet is, those little ice pellets that we had in the middle part of the day. Then you have freezing rain. That's where the snow melts completely. The warm air layer is a little bit thicker, so the snow fully melts and then freezes as soon as it hits something. And that's mostly what we're getting now. You can kind of see it on some of the trees now. It gets the trees get that glaze to it. And luckily so far, the ice totals haven't been too high enough to cause issues on the roads at around 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch, mostly is the reports I've seen. Luckily, it's, again, not high enough to weigh down a lot of those trees and power lines. We missed out on that. But we'll keep you posted as most of this likely exits the area over the next couple of hours. That's the latest from here in Greenville. For now, reporting live, meteorologist Griffin Hardy. I'll send it over to you, Chris.
Griffin, just so everyone knows, I have a hat just like you at home, and I almost wore it today. Wouldn't that have been cool? I really do. It's the best hat. It keeps you really warm. Satellite and radar shows the last of what Griffin was explaining, the mess moving through right now. It is sleet. It is freezing rain. It is brief bouts of snow. And right now, that's moving through parts of the mountains. And you can see the last bit of the freezing rain, the freezing drizzle, is pushing out of Pickens County, Oconee County. Not to say we can't have another batch, kind of like scattered showers in the summertime. There'll be some here or there into the overnight hours, but thankfully this thing is finally winding down. But unfortunately, we had quite a bit of ice with it, and unfortunately that ice took over a little sooner, leading to less snow totals in many areas of the upstate. And many of you were hoping for a little bit more snow to play in, but boy, it sure was beautiful to see snow. Our first time in 1,090 days, to be exact. Back toward the west, a few more snow showers to be had. Some of that may make a run for our area through the early morning hours tomorrow. We've got a winter storm warning till 7 a.m. Kind of covers us for anything that may come our way. Oh, our Skycam networks are messy. The Lawrence Skycam has ice on the lens there as things are frozen just about everywhere you go. You can see from our Skycam over the Hilton Greenville, there's not much going on. Normally 385 would be hopping, the mall would be packed, Haywood Road would be packed with people. It's just icy, it is slushy, it is just a mess out there. You can see how normally when things dry up, you start to see this go away. But look how there's a glisten to the road right there off of Haywood Road. Things are icy, but commuters are going about right there, not as fast as they normally would, hopefully, but certainly able to manage 385, a major thoroughfare there. But here's the problem. Temperatures are already below freezing, and they're going to continue to cool down tonight. What little bit of flurry or freezing rain action that we have over us now will simmer down into the overnight hours. We'll slowly clear those skies, and we'll cool down to the mid to upper upper 20s. That'll freeze over anything that's a little bit slushy or misty out. There will be a lot more ice in the morning. I think when we wake up and see the sun, those trees are going to be a sight to see in many areas because they're going to be coated with ice, just everything. And that's good that we had it stop right now, because had we had any more ice, that could have been a problem. So here we go. We've got this ice pushing out of the area. We'll see it start to move on out between now and noon, or I should say midnight. And then 2, 3, 4 o'clock, we've got dry conditions trying to move on in, and tomorrow we'll wake up to some sunshine. So the 4-day looks like this. Starting our day tomorrow at 26 degrees. We've got 39 for a high. A refreeze is possible. Now, you got to think, there's about 2, 3 inches of snow to melt, some ice to melt off those trees. That's a lot of runoff. We don't get very warm tomorrow, but enough to do some melting. But anything will refreeze over to 19 degrees Sunday morning. Black ice will be a problem. So early morning church services, just take it easy, okay? Be careful out there. Many of the main roads should be fine by then. Same story for Monday. I don't think we'll have much problem on Monday, but some of those secondary roads could be an issue. And don't be surprised if you hear of some closings here and there because of those secondary roads still being frozen. By Monday, though, we get up to 46. That should dry and clear everything out. But then it's cold next week. We've got lots of sunshine, lows in the teens, highs in the 30s. Western North Carolina, we got several live Super Doppler 4 impact days ahead with teens up to 40 degrees each day.
In downtown Greenville, people got out to enjoy the snow this afternoon. They brought out their sleds to Falls Park to have some fun.
Yeah, Mark Whiteman has been there all afternoon. Mark, I feel like we've seen the fluffy white snow. We've seen some slush. What are we seeing right now?
Yeah, mostly just ice at this point and a little bit of freezing rain left over. You guys mentioned the afternoon. It was really a very beautiful afternoon at Falls Park, but that white fluffy snow has long since given way to some ice as that freezing rain continues to fall. It is really, really slow at this point. It is still trickling down, but for the most part, not nearly as heavy as what we experienced most of the evening. And I did want to show you this. We've heard Chris mention it all throughout the night, and it's something to keep in mind as you go through the rest of tonight and into tomorrow morning is how much that snow is just going to turn into ice. And as you can see here, we've got a ton of icicles lined up on the rails. We're at Ice on Main here, right on Main Street. And something to keep in mind is just how slick these rails are and how slick the steps are. We saw a few people when we were in Falls Park earlier in the day really struggling just to get down the steps. They are incredibly slick, and right now as I kind of go down, the rail is very slick as well. So something to keep in mind as you go through the rest of the evening and into tomorrow is just how dangerous some of these conditions can be out on the roads. I will say Main Street looks great. They did a wonderful job treating it with salt. Not to encourage you to get outside and drive around right now. It is very quiet in downtown Greenville, the quietest I can ever recall seeing downtown Greenville, to be honest with you. But as we continue to progress through the evening, keep in mind, obviously, that ice in those slick spots, some dangerous areas if you're walking around and navigating. But for the most part, nice and quiet. We've seen a couple couples walking around. Most of Main Street is shut down. It's a very quiet evening here in downtown Greenville as that freezing rain comes to just about a near halt. But for now, guys, I'll send things back to you.
Thanks, Mark. Mapping out the end of this thing. We still got some freezing rain happening right now over Greenville. You can see here on our Hilton Greenville Skycam, everything is glistening and icy out there. Coming up, I'll show you when we warm things back up.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4.
We continue at 10:30 with our breaking news extended coverage as we track the impacts of winter snow.
Snow first hit parts of Georgia this morning before moving to the Carolinas. Some people got out to the parks early to enjoy that early morning snow. Some people building snowmen, sledding, and having a good time.
I was born and raised in the metro, and I feel like I've never experienced anything like this. I woke up at like 7 in the morning. I knew this was coming, and I was like one of those people who believed that it was actually going to be like 4 to 5 inches, and I'm glad I woke up to a really good surprise.
Also in Georgia this morning, an apparent engine issue forced a Delta plane to be evacuated after an aborted takeoff at Atlanta's airport Friday morning. Officials at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport haven't said what happened, but a passenger said the engine on the Boeing 757 caught on fire. More than 200 people on board had to use the inflatable slides to deplane. According to a statement from the airport, 4 people had minor injuries. We will keep you updated on that situation as we learn more.
Getting back to our area now, Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice has our latest on this live Super Doppler 4 alert day.
All right, Chris, our biggest concerns right now are what?
Those freezing temperatures. I mean, we've had the roads be so wet all day. We're dropping down. General rule of thumb's about 27. 27 or below will kind of refreeze things on the roads. And we're going to be down to right around that tonight. And that's going to be a problem because we've got everything kind of coated in ice right now. I think many of us will wake up in the morning and see the trees around our house and be like, whoa. It really coated just about everything. The flags, any of the poles, the trees are going to have a nice glisten to them in the morning. And unfortunately, that's creating some power outages. Got some back through Anderson, Belton, Honea-Path. We're starting to see some power outages. I mean, this is the last bit of it here. Thankfully, the winds are not really up right now, which is good. Live Super Doppler 4 has been tracking it for us all night long. Unfortunately, we're not seeing much in the way of snow right now. Pockets here or there, but this is more just some wintry mix moving on through the area. The back edge of it, not much left beyond this mess that moves on through at 11 o'clock. Winter storm warning right now until 7 a.m. As we look at our Skycam networks, we've got frozen conditions just about everywhere you go. That freezing rain blew in our lens there in Lawrence, and it's kind of iced over. Kind of tells the picture of the day. Coming up, I'm going to map out where we go temperature-wise. We got a thaw, a refreeze, a thaw, and then another refreeze. We'll see how quickly we can dry all this mess out of here and get into next week, which shows another temperature change moving our way.
All right, Chris, thank you. And we are starting to see an increase in power outages tonight. According to Duke Energy, there are more than 3,800 outages in Anderson County. That is where a majority of the outages in our area are happening. And we'll continue to monitor these numbers and bring you updates as they come in.
Snow, of course, started falling this morning. Some areas seeing more snow than others. And one of those places where I feel like we've seen a consistent amount of snow has been in western North Carolina.
Absolutely. And that is where we find our Ray Urena with the latest. Ray.
Nigel, Sydney, we're back with snow after, 15 minutes ago, there was a wintry mix. The atmosphere can't really decide what it wants to rain and precipitate on this part of western North Carolina. Now, I'm going to step out of the way here because the City of Asheville Public Works, they have started resalting the roads. We've seen them going around with the salt spreaders. You can see some of their work as vehicles drive by on the street behind us, that they are starting to break down that snow, make sure it's not as icy, but conditions are still slippery. And as a result of those conditions, the Asheville Parks and Recreation Department has closed their community centers for not only tomorrow, but also Sunday, and they've canceled all of their programming, and the buses won't be running until noon tomorrow. And with all of the debris left over from Hurricane Helene, more than 100 days after that storm, black ice and just treacherous driving conditions are on the minds of people up here.
Just going down in the one valley can be different from another valley, or even just in town. I mean, one street can be different from the other street, and you never know if you're going down one hill or up one hill, if the car is going to lock up, you're going to lock the brakes up and you start sliding.
Earlier today, we also saw North Carolina Department of Transportation crews with their snow plows, just making sure that the interstates are clear. I just checked drivenc.gov. That's where you can see a list of road closures and how snow and ice is impacting all of North Carolina, for that matter. They say that the roads here, all roads in Buncombe County, for that matter, are partially covered with snow and ice. Reporting live in Asheville, Ray Urena, WYFF News 4.
Ray, thank you. Some roads could be dangerous tonight after the winter storm, especially as things get icy and freeze overnight.
Let's go ahead and get back to our Nate Stanley, who is live in Spartanburg now with what those icy conditions look like there. Nate.
And a perfect example of the icy conditions, we're going to take a look at this bush behind me. It looks like it's been covered in glass, right? But we take a closer look at it, and if I just kind of grab one of these leaves here, you can see it comes out, and it's a perfect little ice flower right there. I'm going to put this in this hat. My girlfriend's mom made me this hat for Christmas, and it's been keeping me very warm. Put that flower right there, and now it feels like I'm on a beach right now, and I'm warm and so. No, I'm kidding. It is still cold out here. It is still icy. The rain coming down at a pretty slow rate right now. Some people have been outside this afternoon walking around. We met a guy who it was his first time seeing snow today. He was from Houston. Take a listen to how he spent the day in his first ever snowfall.
Never seen snow, first time in South Carolina, straight from Texas, man, straight from Houston, so it's a cool experience.
And what have you been doing today? What's been your the activities you guys have been up to?
Actually bought some food for a homeless fella, made my first snowball, just took some cool pictures.
And I reached out to Spartanburg County Emergency Management. They say they've only had 1 or 2 calls county-wide for trees down. Thankfully, nobody injured or no reported damage in either of those. We'll have more from the county coming up in just a little bit. Reporting in Spartanburg, Nate Stanley, WYFF News 4.
And Nate, your hat is beautifully made. It looks like it's keeping you warm out there. Hopefully our Rashad Williams is staying warm. He's been in Traveler's Rest all afternoon.
Yeah, Rashad, Nate just put an ice flower in his hat. So I'm wondering, that's a challenge for you.
All right, Nigel, challenge accepted. I was about to say, did Nate say he had an ice flower? I need to go back and see what that looks like. Nigel, for your challenge, no ice flowers here. We're carrying around ice bricks out here. So the snow that was fluffy earlier is now hard. Nigel, if you were here, I'd throw this at you just so you could see that I'm telling the truth. But instead of throwing it at you, I'll throw it out here on the sidewalk. Dustin, you ready? There we go. Boom, you heard it there. So the big thing that we're seeing here in Traveler's Rest right now is a lot of the ice. It's a common theme that you've been hearing from all of us who are out on the ground. Looking up right above me now, this tree here that was wet earlier, the rain was falling off of it. As the temperatures dropped, turned the rain into ice, and that caused it to freeze on contact. And now you have the light kind of glistening off of these tree branches here. Downtown Traveler's Rest is aesthetically pleasing. That's what I would call it. The rain has really kind of stopped. The freezing rain, excuse me, has really kind of stopped here. Everything is pretty calm. No one's out. It's just myself and Dustin here holding the fort down. So it seems like everyone is staying inside at this point. They had their fun earlier today, so let's go ahead and show you what we were seeing throughout the afternoon. The fun part, the fun stuff. This is when the snow was actually fluffy at that point. We had snowball fights around that time. We had kids who were out having fun, parents out with their kids, and something really for the entire family. I was even able to referee a sled race this afternoon. That was a first for me, and it was a lot of fun. Throughout the day, before it got dark as well, there was a lot of foot traffic on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, so it was easy to stop some people to get their opinions and to get their thoughts on what they thought about today's snowfall.
She's been looking forward to this for 3 years now.
It's really fun and nice, and I really like how you can build a snowman and all that. It's fluffy and fun.
Come on, have some fun. You only live once.
I love the snow.
Just look around. It's spectacular. It's beautiful.
It is spectacular, it is beautiful, but I guess at this point it is starting to get hard and crunchy and not so nice to look at. The dogs were out. I let my cats out earlier this morning. They had a good time for a little bit and then ran back inside. But a lot of kids that we spoke to today said today was a snow day from school, so they were able to thoroughly enjoy the day outside. Really a day for family and bringing everyone together and bringing everyone outside. So we will continue to give you one more update here from Traveler's Rest in the next half hour. But for now, we will send it back to you live in Traveler's Rest. Rashad Williams, WYFF News 4.
Rashad, thank you very much. The South Carolina Highway Patrol is asking people to stay safe on the roads, but there are people who need to get out. Medical professionals, first responders, and others who don't have an option.
That's right. Our Jane Roblo joins us in the newsroom with some tips for those people who do have to get behind the wheel. Jane.
Well, that's right, Sydney and Nigel. The South Carolina Department of Public Safety has some really good advice if you find yourself sliding and skidding or if you get stuck. They say that it's slippery out there, of course, so if your vehicle is skidding, take your foot off the accelerator. Just take it off, then counter steer. That's steering in the direction that you want the front of your vehicle to go. If you have standard brakes, pump your brakes. Most of us, though, have ABS, so anti-lock brakes. If you have those, don't pump those brakes. Just apply steady pressure. And the SCDPS says if you get stuck, don't spin your wheels. That seems like the thing to do, but it just digs you in even deeper. Instead, turn your wheels from side to side. That pushes the snow out of the way, and then lightly touch your accelerator to ease your car out. They say it's a good idea, too, to keep cat litter or sand or salt with you. You can pour that right there in the path of your wheels, and that'll help you get traction. And if you need roadside assistance and you're in the state of South Carolina, dial star 47. We'll be right back.
Let's head back out to Anderson County tonight, where emergency officials started treating the roads and bridges very early.
Right, because with all of this ice, of course, we do want people, if they do have to be out, to at least be safe. And our Maya Payton joins us now from Anderson with how people there are handling the storm and how they're handling the ice. Maya.
Yes, Sydney and Nigel, ice is the main word. You know, earlier Chris mentioned that people are going to be waking up in the morning looking at trees covered in ice. Well, Chris, they don't have to wait until the morning. Here in Anderson County, ice is already taken over. Look at how this ice is forming on the branches here in downtown Anderson. And some more of what the ice is doing here. You can see on different surfaces that freezing rain has settled, and it's on almost everything. And then here on the trash can. Then here over here on the railings, there are some benches over there too, but you get the point. But this freezing rain is causing a lot of these icy conditions in Anderson County, and it's impacting power outages. I'm told by the leaders here in Anderson County Emergency Management Department, the director says nearly 4,000 are without power. That's mostly in Belton. He says that Duke technicians are already responding. They're working to restore that power. Of course, we'll tell you more coming up here in the next half hour. In Anderson County, I'm Maya Payton, WYFF News 4.
As we look outside, freezing drizzle, freezing rain is still happening right now in Greenville. Coming up on Map Out how long it'll last.
In downtown Greenville, people were able to get out this afternoon and enjoy some of the snow. They brought their sleds to Falls Park to have a little bit of fun.
Our Mark Whiteman brought us all the fun. He's been there all afternoon. Now it's dark now, and the sleet's coming down, so it's not as much fun, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think you could say that, Nigel. That is fair to say. Not nearly as much fun as what we had earlier in the day. It was a really nice afternoon here in downtown Greenville. Falls Park was a lot of fun earlier. Great afternoon of sledding and snowman building. We had a good time out there. I will tell you what we have seen now has been pretty steady for the last few hours. It's just that continuous freezing rain. Actually feeling a little bit of sleet, some of that bouncing off the surface. We've seen a little bit of that in that wintry weather mix. And just a reminder, as you get through the rest of this evening and into tomorrow, what we're going to continue to see is ice. And I just wanted to show you this, and we're going to kind of move elsewhere for our final coverage of the evening, but just show you just how frozen this has all become, this level of just ice that you really got to scrape away. I mean, it's hard. It is packed in, and that snow, that beautiful snow that we had a great time playing around in earlier today, it's all just a sheet of ice, I should say, at this time. So not a whole lot of folks out on the roads, which is good. The roads in downtown Greenville do look great, but really no one out walking around. It is a very quiet, abnormally quiet Friday night in downtown Greenville. I'll send things back to you guys.
Mark, I guess technically this was your baby boy's first official snow, right? It's been 3 years, 1,090 days to be exact since our last snow. Our snow drought is finally over after 2 back-to-back winters of having no snow. We've broken that finally. It wasn't a lot in some communities. Some of you wanted more. You know, we still have a long winter to go. Nothing in the next couple of days, that's for sure. But what we do have is a cold air mass, and right now that gave us some snow, some freezing rain, and some sleet, and right now it is still coming down. That freezing rain just won't let up, and it's just glazing everything. I think we're going to be very surprised when tomorrow's light comes up. It's just the extent of the ice on the trees, just the icicles coming down off of your roof, your gutters. It is going to be very icy, like little wintry wonderland, like Elsa just kind of got angry at the upstate, right? As we look closer at our area here, we got a winter storm warning in effect for most of the the area until tomorrow at 7 a.m. Here's our SkyCam network. 31 degrees in Greenville, 32 in Anderson. Asheville's 28 in Stockton with snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Here's the look in Greenville. Now, I've been watching folks driving on 385. They seem to be doing it carefully, slower, but when people go off of 385 right here and get off of Haywood Road, they are going very gingerly. So it looks like the side roads other than the interstate. I mean, I've seen the DOT trucks. They go about 7 trucks deep. I don't know the science behind it, but I take it somebody's got something in the front, then there's the other de-icing, maybe some salt in the back. These guys have been, and gals, have been going up and down these lanes back and forth all evening long, really hitting these main thoroughfares. Not seen them as much on the exits yet. Not to say they're not going to or they don't have a strategy there, but you get the picture. Is the main thoroughfares are probably going to be okay, but the back roads, the secondary roads, they're going to be a mess and are a mess right now. 32 in Pickens, it's 28 in Asheville. Any kind of slush is going to freeze tonight because we're heading down to the mid to upper 20s with clearing skies into tomorrow morning. Maybe a few clouds early on, but then those clouds will clear. Last little bit of this moisture's pushing out. Spartanburg midnight, 1 a.m. The rest of us, I can't roll out a quick burst of a flurry or a sleet into early tomorrow morning, but for the most part, we're all drying out. The 4-day looks like this. Down to 26 tomorrow morning, up to 39. We're at 19 on Sunday morning. So yeah, we get some melting to happen tomorrow. Even the few inches of snow we got to melt and the sleet and the freezing rain, that's going to create a runoff, and there's going to be wet roads out there. So please be careful driving around late tomorrow night because we only get to 39. We'll cool quickly to the 20s under clear skies. It'll be in the 20s by the evening. So make sure you tune in with Griffin tomorrow to see how conditions are with the temperatures and what's going on. We're to 21 degrees on Monday morning, up to 46, and much of next week it's very cold. In fact, some days only have highs in the 30s with lows in the teens. In the mountains, same story, just colder. Several days barely getting above freezing in West North Carolina, including Wednesday with a high of 32.
Continuing our winter weather coverage now, we have seen everything today, from snow to sleet to freezing rain.
Even a little sunshine. Maybe.
Maybe.
In our minds, at least.
I haven't seen the sun. I haven't seen the outdoors.
Maybe it's just bright outside.
Who knows?
Well, now that the freezing temperatures have settled in tonight, let's get over to meteorologist Griffin Hardy. And Griffin, what have we been seeing today? We've seen a little bit of everything.
I think everything except the sun, Nigel. I hate to break it to you. We've seen mostly snow, sleet, and freezing rain, all 3 of the major types of winter precipitation that you can get. Started off as snow in Greenville this morning at around 11 o'clock, lasted till around 3. That's when it started to make that switch to sleet. And then for most of the late afternoon, early evening, it's been freezing rain. And this is a very great example of what freezing rain does and looks like. So we've had this as sort of our science experiment for today. All the rain that's fallen on this has frozen on contact, and that's what it does. All rain is, or all freezing rain is just snow that's melted before it hits the ground, but then it refreezes as soon as it hits something. And this is exactly what's happening on some of the back roads that haven't been driven on as much. It's certainly going to get slippery when you have ice build up like that. And if you look off towards the trees right now, they have this similar looking glisten on them from the glaze of ice that is starting to, all the ice is starting to accrete onto the trees themselves. So a lot of ice has been the big story today. The ice accumulations from this event have been in the ballpark of around 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. That's enough to cause slick spots, but at this point, it's not enough to cause huge amounts of damage. That's been the good news so far. We'll talk more about what's ahead in your forecast one more time coming up in just a few minutes. For now, reporting live in Greenville, meteorologist Griffin Hardy. I'll send it back to you.
Griffin, thank you so much. And a reminder, you can get severe weather alerts from WYFF News 4 straight to your phone. We have a step-by-step guide on how to turn on the weather alerts on the WYFF 4 app. You can even turn them on for your specific area. WYFF News 4 at 11 is next.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 at 11.
Our snow day turned into an ice day across the area. Now it's pushing out. I'll look closer at impacts to temperatures.
Stay off the roadways and stay home. That would be ideal.
Upstate crews asking you to stay safe tonight as ice and snow build up on the roads.
As long as you can put up with the cold, it's the best time to be outdoors.
And some people bundling up today, braving the cold and getting outdoors to enjoy the snow.
Thank you for staying with us at 11 for our extended coverage as we track today's winter storm.
Both the Carolinas and Georgia remain under a state of emergency tonight. The governors of North Carolina and Georgia speaking this morning on how their teams will respond to this winter weather.
DOT obviously has been out treating our roads leading up to the weather this morning. The Department of Natural Resources has 6 task force teams and 12 strike teams that are on standby ready to respond for any potential road debris clearing.
We know that those still recovering from Hurricane Helene are especially going to feel the impacts of this storm. Western NCDOT crews began preparing for the storm on Wednesday and have been responding to winter weather in the mountains for weeks.
We have live team coverage across the upstate and western North Carolina as we continue to track the impacts of today's winter storm.
But first, we go to Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice with the latest timing. And Chris, you have serious concerns about freezing overnight.
Yeah, and it's the fact that we've had that glaze of ice all day long and temperatures are going to go down to 26, 27 degrees tonight. We have the last batch of that freezing rain moving through the area right now. Not to say that there's not a chance of a quick flurry or freezing drizzle here and there, but the last batch of it now moving through Pickens, Clemson, Anderson, Lounsville, Spartanburg, and that'll be the last of it before we start to dry things back out tonight and say good riddance to this ice and snow event. Back toward the west, actually got a little bit of clearing skies. We will finally see the sunshine tomorrow, and that will do wonders to melt that ice off the trees that I'm sure is going to shock a lot of us tomorrow morning when you look up and everything is just completely glazed over. Winter storm warning until 7 a.m. Conditions are rough out there. We're at freezing in all of our communities, so what moisture and slush is out there is making travel tough. I've noticed cars taking it very easy on the side roads here. 385, however, does seem to be doing okay from our Hilton Greenville Skycam. 31 degrees with freezing rain as we speak right now. The humidity is high. Thankfully, those winds are calm. We do still have some power outages and refreeze concerns. Coming up, I'll show you where temperatures go this weekend into early next week.
Chris, thank you. Power outages are rising tonight. According to Duke Energy, there are more than 3,800 outages in Anderson County, while there are more than 1,900 in Greenville County. We will continue to monitor these numbers and bring you updates as we learn more. Now, the snow started falling this morning. Some of the bigger totals in western North Carolina.
Our Ray Arena has been in western North Carolina all day, showing us how that has evolved. Ray, how much snow are you seeing right now? I saw you made your first snowball last. Oh, we got another. You're loving the snow. This Miami guy.
Yeah, this is a softball size snow. I had to make a bigger one. The first one was a little small, Sydney, so I had to make a bigger one for our audience here to show that, yes, I can add more snow. But the reason why I can add in bigger snow was because we have seen more snow in the past little bit. I'm going to have Harrison, the photojournalist I've been working with behind the camera. He's been cold. He's been wearing a face mask the whole time. Zoom in on the salt that Asheville Public Works has been working on. We are actually starting to see for the first time in I don't know how many hours, several hours, that we can actually see some of the lines of the crosswalk out there. Just, you know, putting all these snow efforts as they start recovering from all this going on. And you can see some people enjoying their little walk in the snow right now. But with all this snow and potential for ice, is always a potential for some people to, you know, have perhaps collide with some of the debris that has been left over from Hurricane Helene. We spoke to one man earlier today as he was enjoying the snow about how that he's taken that into consideration.
That's a factor. I know on like the on-ramp onto 240 out of town here, there's still a big debris pile that it cuts into the lane a little bit, you know, things like that, right? Like you've just got less room to work with.
And City of Asheville says that their parks and tourism, their community centers will be closed not only tomorrow, but also Sunday, all their programs. Just the community centers will be closed. They say that the parks and greenways will still be open, but they're asking people to be careful due to potential icy conditions. They also say the buses should be running back at around noon tomorrow to about 6. And they also say public works crews will be running 24/7 to make sure that the snow is scraped off and all the ice and all the roads are made safe for driving. But they do say to exercise caution if you do indeed need to drive. Reporting live in Asheville, Ray Urena, WYFF News 4.
Ray, thank you. Folks concerned about the roads in western North Carolina and here in our area, the roads could also be dangerous after the winter storm, especially with that ice that Chris has been talking about is getting overnight.
Our Nate Stanley joins us live from Spartanburg now with the latest conditions there. Hey, Nate.
Thank you so much for bringing up the ice. That's exactly what I was going to talk about on the top of this live shot. I've got a perfect example of what we're seeing outside right now. Take a look at this pillar. This has had snow on it today. Right now it looks, oh, look at this. It's a pillar. It's got some water on it. Looks nice and safe. But if I take this scraper here, we can see that is straight ice. This ice right now, that is what's on the roads right now. You think you're driving, you think it's maybe a puddle, it's maybe just a wet spot. It is ice, and this is also incredibly slippery. It could put you at risk if you get out on the roads. As I mentioned, officials right now saying if you have to leave the house, drive with caution, but if you don't need to leave, don't leave. I spoke with Spartanburg County Emergency Management. They say that they haven't gotten too many calls this afternoon. They say 1 or 2 calls for trees down, but they did not result in any injuries. It didn't result in any property damage. Also, there are county-wide shelters open. I'm told there's about 4 or 5 people at those right now, and those people are just getting out of the weather, getting to a place that is warm and dry tonight, but no calls for any power outages. Very few power outages. The county says nothing to cause any concern as of right now. That's what we're hearing here in Spartanburg. Send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Nate, thank you very much. You could hear a car alarm going off in the distance there. We've been watching snow steadily in Travelers Rest all afternoon. Then came the freezing rain.
Yeah, that's right. That's where we find our Rashad Williams right now to show us what's happening there in Travelers Rest. Rashad.
Yeah, right now in Travelers Rest, I feel like I've got the entire city to myself. This is the first time there's no one out here. We are feeling a light breeze and seeing a heavy freeze. The sidewalks, I will basically classify it as slick and icy. You have this thin layer here. It's crunchy, so if you're walking out tomorrow, watch your step. Dig those heels in so you don't slip and fall. When you start getting a little bit closer to the roads here, that's where you're starting to see more of that precipitation where it built up and mixed in with the snow. So you have more of a slushy mix, and you also have that black ice and those slick spots when you're driving that may be hard to see, and they may also appear to be puddles of water. So, of course, drive with caution and make sure that you take your time there. Let me stand up here and just go ahead and show you a little bit more of what we're seeing as well. When you kind of look off in the distance here, it may be hard to see because it's dark, so I'll describe it to you. The snow completely blanketing the grass, and the grass, which is under the snow, is crunchy here again from the frozen snow. So this will be the scene as to what we'll see over the next few hours, maybe the next day or so, until the sun can come out and shine bright, and those temps can go above freezing and help melt some of this snow away. But overall, I had to say it was a great day here in Travelers Rest. We met a lot of great people, some from the north, some from the northeast, some from the Midwest, who say they love the snow. This is great for them to see it again. Others said they moved down here to get away from the snow, so this was a pleasant surprise to have snow in the south. But you know, our meteorologist told us it was coming, and it came, and we have been having a lot of fun giving you the updates here. The kids out of school today as well, they were able to take advantage of the sleds and the snowball fights. So always a positive in every situation. A day of bringing families together, and a day for all of us to be able to experience this winter weather. So now it is on all of us to do our part to make sure that we stay safe. If we have to hit the roads tonight or tomorrow as well, let's all pitch in and take care of each other and take our time out there on the roadways, give it enough time to melt away and clear off so we can get things back to normal. Live in Travelers Rest, Rashad Williams, WYFF News 4.
Rashad, I love that. So well said. Always a positive in every situation. But now we do have to do our part because roads are still slick in some conditions. For example, fire crews have closed a section of State Park Road in Greenville County because roads are slick there. Earlier today, officials said several vehicles actually slid off the road. At last check, though, no one was seriously hurt in those incidents. Authorities say they also closed Altamont Road because of the weather. First responders say they were having trouble getting to that area because, of course, of the icy conditions.
As we've been seeing all day, the winter weather can and has already caused extremely dangerous road conditions, especially as ice freezes on the roads overnight. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there are 498 fatal crashes and more than 32,000 injuries in 2022 due to snow and sleet conditions. That is why troopers say if you need to be out on the roads, prepare yourself and your vehicle.
Check your tire tread. If your tire tread's not in good condition, you probably shouldn't drive in the ice or snow. Make sure your engine's prepared, right? Check your battery, check your fluids, check your wipers, check your brakes.
If you're stopped or stalled in wintry weather, experts say to stay focused on yourself, then your passengers, your car, and your surroundings.
Hey, we've got temperatures in the 20s to around 30 right now. That's going to cause a refreeze of the thawing tonight. Coming up, I'll show you how low your town will go.
With this winter weather, experts are reminding you to take extra steps to make sure you heat your home properly. It is not safe to turn your oven or your stove on for heat. Only use electric space heaters that have automatic shut-off switches and keep them away from any flammable materials, things like curtains and blankets. Also, avoid using extension cords to plug in your space heater, and make sure you have extra blankets, sleeping bags, and winter coats on hand in case you do lose power. Now, if you have symptoms, things like fatigue, dizziness, headache, and confusion, you may be experiencing carbon monoxide poisoning. It feels very close to flu-like symptoms. And if you think you are experiencing those symptoms, seek fresh air or go outside immediately.
From dangerously low temperatures to black ice, winter storms can bring a slew of issues for your health and home. It is important to be prepared and take warnings seriously. First, if you can stay indoors and off the roads, do it. If you must go outside, wear lots of thin layers to take on and off, as well as hats, gloves, and scarves. Watch for signs of weather-related health effects. Some signs include hypothermia, those uncontrollable shivering, memory loss, slurred speech, and exhaustion. If you see these signs, get to a warm place and try to warm the center of your body with warm drinks before seeking medical attention.
Our weather and news team has been out across the entire upstate and western North Carolina, showing you everything that we have experienced in this winter weather, and we have seen it all.
Yes, we have. From snow to sleet to freezing rain. Now that freezing temperature has settled in tonight. So let's go to meteorologist Griffin Hardy. And Griffin, what can you tell us? What are you seeing outside right now?
Well, Nigel, this is the end result of it. We brought the thermometer out from the newsroom just to see what would happen and see where the temperature is. It's hovering right around 30 degrees outside, just below freezing, and that's ice right there on the thermometer. This is freezing rain, and this is what it does, where it rains and then it freezes as soon as it hits something and then sticks to it. And this is happening all across the area where they're seeing freezing rain at the moment. But we haven't just seen freezing rain. It's been snow, sleet, and freezing rain. All three of the big types of winter weather we've seen so far today. And here's the big difference between them. So snow is pretty easy to understand. Where it forms up in the clouds at around 15,000 feet, if it's below freezing from where that snowflake forms all the way down to the ground, it's going to fall as snow. Pretty easy to understand. But then sleet is where it gets a little tricky. So oftentimes with sleet, or really all the time with sleet, you have a warm layer just above the surface, but temperatures at the surface are below freezing. So what happens is, as the snow falls through the cloud, it encounters that warm layer, melts a little bit, and then refreezes back down into an ice pellet. That's what sleet is. Those little pellets that are falling from the sky, that's what sleet is. And then freezing rain is by far the biggest pain that you often deal with because you get icy surfaces that form. When the warm layer is just big enough, the snowflake will melt completely as it falls and then refreeze as soon as it hits something down on the ground. That's where you get ice buildup on the trees, like we're seeing now, on power lines, on roads, things like that. So luckily, the ice accumulations so far tonight have been kind of the middle of the road, around 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. That's definitely enough to cause slick spots, but we haven't seen any widespread down trees, luckily. So, Chris, we'll keep an eye on this as we head into tomorrow, as temperatures likely stay below freezing the rest of the night tonight.
Yeah, so anything that's wet out there are vulnerable to freezing. But like you mentioned, if people keep driving on those main roads, that kind of keeps the liquid that's there from freezing. But those back roads that don't see a lot of action tonight certainly already getting slippery, and that's the problem. We've still got a little bit more moisture to go. This thing's almost done across the area, but like we've been saying, between now and midnight, this thing's shutting down across the area, other than a stray flurry or light freezing drizzle here and there. As we go through tomorrow, things are going to look a lot better across the area. And looking at live Super Doppler 4, it's been tracking this for us as we've been through the day today. As we look at the back edge of this, it's going to be clearing out, and we'll see a little bit of clear skies tomorrow. Winter storm warning in place until 7 a.m. tomorrow. You can see our SkyCam network all offering temperatures in the upper 20s to around 30 degrees right now. Now, looking at our Hilton Greenville SkyCam, I've been noticing these flashing trucks here. Those are the DOT crews. They have been working so hard tonight up and down these streets, making sure that they're clear, making sure that they're treated so that you can get to and from where you need to go tomorrow. But please know that all the roads are not going to be in great shape tomorrow, so you're going to want to take it easy. It's 31 in Greenville, 30 in Spartanburg, it's 29 in Asheville, 28 in Cullowhee. All of us heading down a few more degrees from where we're at, especially when those skies begin to clear and the last little bit of this moisture moves out. The sun will be shining tomorrow, but look at that. It doesn't do much to temperatures. At 9 a.m. we're at 30. At noon, we're still at 37 degrees. As we move forward here, the last little bit of this model showing a little bit more freezing drizzle, freezing rain pushing out of the area, and then we're smooth sailing going into the weekend here as things will finally begin to slowly thaw out. So 26 tonight, up to 39 for a high. That's not very warm, but it will do enough to get things going. 19 on Sunday morning, up to 38 degrees with a little bit of black ice. Monday morning, I can't rule out black ice as we got another hard freeze down to 21 degrees. Then we're up to 43 as we go into Tuesday. The rest of next week is very cold. Lots of sunshine, lows in the teens with highs in the 30s. Going to be cold just about everywhere, especially in the mountains. Check this out. A couple of live Super Doppler 4 impact days with many nights next week in the teens with highs near freezing.
We have had our crews all across the upstate and western North Carolina today, including Anderson County. That's where our Maya Payton is.
And Maya, are you still out there with your friend?
I'm not. I'm no longer with Mr. Whitner, Nigel, but I have a tree that I want to show you because I know Chris was talking about icy trees in the morning, and I wanted to show you here in Anderson, it's already forming. Take a look here. You can see all of this ice on the tree, and I can even break some of it off so you can see how the ice is popping off there on this tree, and that's on many of the trees here in downtown Anderson. And let me skate across here on this brickway, and I do mean skate because it is slush here, but even under the slush, slick condition and ice. You can feel, look, that's crazy. And I'm saying that's crazy because since I've been out here, it's been mostly slush, but now it's really becoming very, very slick. Let's come over here to this railing where I want to show you icicles have formed all along here. And I'm being told by the emergency management director that here in Anderson, we're seeing a lot of ice forming on a lot of surfaces, especially on power lines, because we're seeing a lot of power outages here in Anderson County. Nearly 4,000, I'm told by the emergency management director. He says that's mostly in Belton. Crews are already over there. They're trying to restore power. He says as we continue into the night, we could see more power outages in Anderson. So those who have neighbors who may be elderly, when you wake up in the morning, he says just go by carefully as you're making your way out. But just go by and knock on the door, make sure they're good, especially if power is out. So we'll keep you updated well and through the night and here in Anderson County. Of course, just depend on us to get you through, especially Chris. In Anderson County, I'm Maya Payton, WYFF News 4.
Maya, thank you. In downtown Greenville, people got to head outside to Falls Park this afternoon to enjoy the snow. People bundled up and brought sleds, made snowmen. Here's what some had to say about all the fun they were having this afternoon.
We're just playing in the snow, having fun. It's been a while since we had snow in Greenville, so it's nice to get out and have fun.
Build snowmen, make snow angels, all that stuff.
All that stuff. Looks like they had so much fun out there.
That's right. And our Mark Whiteman has been out and about in downtown Greenville all day. Mark, what are things looking like right now?
Yeah, hey guys, just wanted to mention first, you showed all that wonderful video of the sledding and the snowmen. That's what a day like today is all about, right? But as the day progressed, of course, we've dealt with that freezing rain for most of the afternoon and all throughout the evening. We still feel a little bit of a trickle here in downtown Greenville. But as we continue to warn you about the dangerous conditions, being cautious, being safe as you go through the evening and into tomorrow, there's also some really beautiful sights to see as you take in all this ice and snow. And want to show you, of course, we're downtown right by the Christmas tree, and that's awfully nice to look at. But you know what else is pretty cool? This water fountain right next to me here. You can see all the icicles is frozen over almost entirely. I mean, that's really cool. We actually had a husband and a wife stop by and ask Josh if he could take a couple pictures, and our photographer Josh was kind enough to do that. We've seen a few other people stop by, take some pictures with the water fountain as well. Just a nice reminder of what a day like today ultimately ends up looking like. You can actually see a sheet of ice on top of the fountain, but obviously quite nice to look at. It's been a really nice day here in downtown Greenville for us. So we had the snow, we had the snow day, and of course, obviously, it's given way to some nice ice, but a wonderful looking image right there. We've had a great day and continue to stay with WYFF News 4 as we keep you updated on all the changing wintry conditions overnight and into tomorrow morning. But for now, in downtown Greenville, I'm Mark Whiteman, WYFF News 4 Sports. Not News 4 Sports.
Before the freezing rain arrived, our area saw a steady snowfall for several hours. And wasn't it beautiful? Just take a look at this. From Clemson to Easley to Travelers Rest, folks were outside seeing what our area hasn't seen in 3 years.
It was enough for people to get out and have some snowball fights, make snowmen, and break out those sleds.
That's right. And as icy as it is now and as much caution as we're using on the roads, of course, overnight, it has been so wonderful to see families and friends out there coming together and just enjoying this day.
Yeah, so Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice is here. We have a minute left, Chris. How do we wrap this up?
What do folks need to know?
You know, we got the freeze tonight, and that's going to allow things to really glaze over that's not already, especially with less people traveling on the roads during the overnight. We're only up to 39 tomorrow. That'll be enough to melt a lot and dry a lot of the roads off, especially when people are traveling on them. But there will be those back roads that'll still be slick with a refreeze down to 19 on Sunday morning. 38's the high on Sunday, so same story. Some melting, but that runoff will freeze. We'll have some back roads. The curves could be a little bit tricky into Monday morning, but then we climb out of it. We're drying out, but we're staying cold all week long.
Chris, thank you. Thank you to our weather team, our news team, everyone keeping y'all informed, and thank you for watching. The news continues at 5 in the morning with WYFF News 4 today.
Have a great night. Stay safe.